Who is Angeles Echols?
Who is Angeles Echols?
Would somebody tell me who is Angeles Echols?
Today's burning question: who is Angeles Echols? Angeles Echols, born January 11th, 19, in a small town in Memphis, Tennessee. To the parents of J.D. and Will Eva Echols, Angeles was raised in a one-room apartment with her sisters, Winnie and Wanda. This poor but happy family learned about survival from the family monarch, Angeles' mother, Will Eva Echols. Angeles attended Georgia Avenue Elementary and Hamilton for her middle and high school days. It was there she began to show early signs of her starlet desires. But Angeles' mom would say, "Stardom is good, but change comes through education." So, Angeles decided to stay the course of education. In her senior year of high school, she applied to 19 colleges. She was accepted by 18 of them. But it was Cornell University that caught her eye. With the offer of a full scholarship, Angeles packed her bag and said goodbye to Memphis for the first time in her young adult life. But there would be a few surprises waiting for the young upstart when she arrived at Cornell.
When I left Memphis and arrived at Cornell, the first thing that got my attention was a wall. There was a wall in front of Willard Straight Hall. And on that wall, and we're talking about 1975, and on that wall were the words, "Niggers go home." And I was like, yeah! Watch this, this nigga ain't going home. Say it loud! I'm thinking I'm proud.
Angeles defied the warning and braved the course of her studies. But things would get better the day she met Norma Mitchell, a kindred spirit who became her friend and confidant from that day to this.
Well, we were both involved in the arts in college. So not that we were studying it, but we were both very committed to it. I was a dancer. She was a director and actress and singer, so talented. And that's kind of how we met. But the time that I really talked to her was in a class that we shared called Abnormal Psychology. And ironically, the two of us landed in that class together. And so we helped each other through abnormal psychology. And that's very ironic, I think.
Together, they would share some interesting times.
Well, I remember one time when we were walking on campus, and you could see us from afar because we're two Amazon women, 5'11", one Puerto Rican, one African American, and we're walking there, and Angeles, and I'd say, "Angeles," and she'd say, "Norma," and then we'd just part the waves.
And part the waves they did. Both women went on to complete their studies at Cornell and graduated with honors. But Angeles' desire for stardom had not been quelled. And so, it was no surprise that her next conquering ground would be Hollywood.
If you
People all over the world, no hope or future in their plans. It's time we take a look at ourselves. Time to help that fellow man.
You best watch out, boy. You know what they say about him? Say any man play like that must have been to the crossroads. If you want to play like old son over there, baby, you got to get yourself a guitar. Take it down to the crossroads. You know where the two roads meet? Go down there on a moonless night, a colored man, he'll come by. and he'll tune that guitar of yours for you. You'll be playing songs you ain't never even heard before. What songs will just come flying off your fingertips. Just like old sword. But then, you got to pay the man. Dorothy! He's gone for good this time. Oh, Norma Jean, your husband leaves for good every other week. No, but this is it, I'm telling you. He took his underwear, the drawers, everything. Did you hear that, Lord? He took his BVDs. Oh, Lord! God, stop crying. Come on. Now, let's look at the bright side. Now, you got a brand new house. Oh, no new clothes. Oh, yeah. New car. Oh, girl, you got it made. All you need is a bed warmer. I sure don't want no bed warmer. Daddy, I want.
While enjoying the success of film, television, and stage, the words of Angelisa's mom were ever present on her mind and in her heart. Change comes through education. Thus was born the motivation for her to start EYM.
The motivation for starting EYM and how it actually all started was indeed a blessing and a gift. I was teaching at a local school at Wilton and Olympic called Trinity Lutheran, and I was teaching elementary. And I had created a reading program primarily using phonics to teach young people how to read. Because there was a serious problem having such a large class of children who were non-English speaking students. And so I developed a program, and there was a wonderful principal and pastor at the time, and two wonderful men who were really excited about what I was doing. And one of their other teachers was having a problem in her class. And they wanted to know if I could help with some of those students. And so I said I would. And I started working with a couple of kids. A couple of kids' parents came to me and wanted to know if I would also help with their kids. So now the kids that were in my classroom, I just started helping them after school in my apartment. Wow. Two beautiful young women. And by word of mouth, it just grew. Before I knew it, kids were studying in my bathtub and in my bed. And Tara just finished law school. I believe she has a joint degree and a PhD. She used to take the pillow off my bed and put it in the bathtub. Tiffany used to take the pillow and put it on the toilet seat. Justinian, he used to go on the balcony. His little apartment had this little balcony, and he would study there. He was just here last week telling the kids about the history and what it was like being in my apartment. And it just grew. It grew by word of mouth. And I was the only teacher for 7 years. And before I knew it, I had 12, 13 kids in my apartment. And the parents, before I knew it, we weren't done until 7:30, 8:30, 9 o'clock. And they would be hungry. And I didn't have much money. And I used to take a can of Van de Kamp pork and beans and put it in a big pot. And I'd put some hot sauce and ketchup in it. And I'd get those 99-cent chicken flakes, and I'd cut them up in small pieces and put them in there, and then take the Hi-Ho crackers, because the Ritz cost too much, and I'd crumble those up in there, and those kids, we ate that. It was so good. So before I knew it, every night I had these kids, and I was making dinner. We had those hot dogs with spaghetti. We had those hot dogs with rice. We had those hot dogs on a bun. And sometimes I'd toast them and put some cheese. I'm telling you, I did all kinds of things with 99-cent hot dogs because I couldn't cook. I didn't cook. And it just grew. I used to go to the LAUSD would throw the books away in these large vats, these large bins. And at 6:30, I would take my little buggy, and I could only go a couple of miles without it getting heated, overheating. And I'd stop and put some water in it, let it cool off, then I'd drive another mile or so. And I would go to these schools, and at 6:30, I'd climb the fence. And I'd take these books out of that vat, out of those bins, and I'd throw them over. And the guy would help me. The guard would help me, and he'd load them in my car. And I'd take all the math and English books I could find. Math, English, and science books, I took them all. I didn't care. And then I'd bring them back to my apartment. And when I grew up, we did everything with a bar of Ivory soap. And I'd take a bar of Ivory soap and a nice clean towel, and I'd wipe that towel. And I put the soap on the towel, and then I took every page of those books and I cleaned those books with a bar of Ivory soap, and then I'd hold it like this and shake it with my blow dry, and I'd dry my page. And that's how I cleaned my first scoop of books. And I did that. That's how I got my textbooks. And then the places would throw their furniture away, and I'd go and get the tables and chairs and get some nails. And me and the kids would be putting chairs together. And I did that for 7 years in my apartment. After 7 years of EYM in my apartment, I then began to legitimize it. And that evening, about a week later, I was standing in the hall, and a wonderful attorney was walking down the hall, and he wanted to know what did I do there, and I told him. And he said, you should go nonprofit. I want you to do some research and read bylaws, articles of incorporation, and nonprofits. When you have written it and you've gotten it all put together, bring it to me, and I will help you get your 501c3 VAT status. That man, Adrian Baca, is on my board today, and EYM started, and I never looked